The crash of a lifetime is coming in 2024, and the stock market will go down by 86%. This is at least what is going to happen according to the popular financial newsletter writer Harry Dent Jr. On today's episode of The Good, the Bad and the Bitcoin, we want to have a closer look at Harry Dent and compare his past predictions to what really happened and talk a bit about why somebody would make bold predictions like this. Harry S. Dent Jr. is an American financial newsletter writer, best known for his book The Great Depression Ahead, which hit the New York Times bestseller list in 2009. Born in Columbia, South Carolina, Dent is the founder of H.S. Dent Investment Management in Tampa, Florida, and also leads Dent Research and H.S. Dent Publishing. His investment theories often focus on generational consumer spending patterns and their impact on various markets, including real estate and financial securities. He gained some traction and fame in the late 1980s by correctly predicting the bursting of a Japanese asset bubble in 1989 and the subsequent economic downturn. Some of his other more notable predictions beside the Japanese asset bubble burst were the dot-com crash in the early 2000s, when Dent warned of a bubble in the technology sector that would eventually burst, and a potential rise in populist movements due to the demographic shifts aligning with the election of Donald Trump in 2016. However, besides these correct ones, he has also made an alarming number of predictions that have been wrong. Let's look at some examples here. In 2008, he predicted a Great Depression ahead, with a major stock market crash exceeding 45% in the S&P 500 and a severe economic downturn. While it sadly is difficult to pinpoint exactly when he made his prediction in 2008, there are articles referencing him forecasting the crash around the end of June 2008. While there was, of course, a significant decline in stocks of almost 58% during the 2008 financial market crisis, Dent's book, The Great Depression Ahead, was published a mere 2 months before the bottom of the stock market in the beginning of March 2009. Of course, there is always quite a delay between writing and publishing a book. But if you followed the advice given by Dent in his book to invest in so-called safer assets such as government bonds or precious metals such as gold, you would have missed out on one of the greatest stock market rallies in history, with gains of 440% in the S&P 500 during 2009 and 2022. Yes, with gold you also would have earned about 156% if you had the nerves to hold on to it, given the quite significant volatility of it. And do not let me go into why buying government bonds in an interested environment that lowered interest rates to almost 0% after 2008 was probably one of the worst investments you could make over the course of a decade to follow. Now, as a trader and investor, one of the most important lessons you hopefully learn sooner or later is to not get married to your bags. There's always a possibility that you are wrong with your prediction. Being wrong is part of the game of being an investor and or trader. That is why we use a stop loss or an exit strategy. Because after all, if you are a shop owner, you probably also would not double down on ordering more of the items your clients do not want to buy, right? You would, but Harry S. Dent does not. On the contrary, he started to double down by, for example, saying in September of 2011 that the Dow Jones could crash to 3,000 points in 2013. In the beginning of 2013, he stated on CNBC that a market crash is going to come in Q3 2013. In December 2016, he predicted a once-in-a-lifetime market crash that could plunge the Dow Jones by 17,000 points to 5,000 points. In a June 2017 interview with ThinkAdvisor, Dan predicted a major crash on the stock markets and in real estate over the next 3 years. While we saw the stock market struggling in 2018 and, of course, in March 2020 as an impact of the COVID pandemic, these crashes were short-lived and in no way the crash of a lifetime, which seems to be Harry Dent's favorite slogan. Fast forward to March 2021, when Harry Dent predicted the biggest crash ever by end of June 2021. Did it come? Nope. But for sure, the market crash was coming in early 2022 because the economy is dead, right? Well, according to an interview from November 2021, that should have been the case. Okay, technically he got that one right. 2022 was a bad year for stocks, with the Dow Jones losing about 21%. However, this was not as severe as the 80% decline Dent was expecting. Since that one also did not fully hit Harry Dent's target, in April of 2023, Harry Dent doubled down once again and predicted the biggest crash of our lifetime by June 2023. Well, since 2023 was actually a quite good year for stocks, for sure a monumental crash will come in 2024, right? The S&P 500 will crash by 86%, the Nasdaq by 92%, and real estate prices will drop by 50%. This time really, 100% it's coming, because
trust me, bro.
I think you are starting to see a pattern here, right? As amusing as checking his predictions is, it kind of begs the question why anybody basically would use the same blatant slogan, "The crash of a lifetime is coming," for 16 years over and over again. What does he have to gain from being proven wrong over and over again? Well, the answer to that question probably stems from the fact that Harry Dent is publishing a newsletter which comes at the cost of $249 per year. He has also published 11 books over the years that he of course wants you to buy. To quote Gene Epstein of Barron's Magazine, Harry S. Dent Jr. knows how to sell books, but whether his stock market strategies make sense or money for investors is another question. So could it maybe be that this whole crash of a lifetime screaming is just a clever marketing strategy to gain as much public attention through interviews, TV appearances, and social media to sell newsletters and books? I will leave the answer to that question to your imagination, but I want you to take away one thing from all that was said on this video today. Always do your own research and do not rely on so-called market gurus, because usually their motives are not what you believe they are. Also, if you enjoyed watching this video, why not leave me a like and subscribe to my channel? I publish a new video every week to teach you about the financial markets through the eyes of a professional investor. Until we see each other again, happy investing.